On a bright afternoon, a woman found herself stranded on a quiet rural road. She had been driving home when suddenly she heard a loud pop. Her heart sank as she realized that one of her tires had blown out. Pulling over to the side of the road, she took a deep breath and looked at her surroundings. There was no one in sight, just a long stretch of asphalt and the distant sound of trees rustling in the wind. Feeling anxious, she got out of her car and opened the trunk to find her spare tire. The heat from the sun beat down on her, making her feel even more overwhelmed. She knew how to change a tire, but the thought of doing it alone in such an isolated place was daunting. As she struggled to lift the heavy tire, she felt a wave of frustration wash over her. Just when she thought things couldn't get any worse, she noticed a vehicle approaching in the distance. A man was driving towards her, and she felt a flicker of hope. As he pulled over beside her, she could see that he was smiling. He stepped out of his car and approached her with an easy confidence. He could see that she was struggling and immediately offered to help. With a friendly demeanor, he introduced himself and got to work without hesitation. As he began to change the tire, they struck up a conversation. He asked her about her day and listened intently as she shared her experience of moving to the area. She learned that he was a local mechanic who loved helping others, especially in moments of need. They laughed and chatted, and for a brief moment, her worries melted away. As the man worked on the tire, she felt grateful. His willingness to lend a hand made her feel less alone in this moment of distress. She admired his skills as he expertly removed the damaged tire and replaced it with the spare. They both enjoyed the connection they were building, finding comfort in the simple act of helping one another. However, just as they finished putting on the spare tire, the sound of sirens pierced the peaceful atmosphere. A police car approached with its lights flashing. The woman's heart raced as she wondered why the police were here. Had someone called them? The man paused and looked over at her, a slight frown crossing his face. Two officers stepped out of the car, their expressions serious. They approached the pair, glancing back and forth between the woman and the man. The woman felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She was suddenly aware of the tension in the air, and she feared what the officers might think. Were they going to assume something was wrong? The officers began asking questions, directing most of their attention towards the man. She watched as the officers scrutinized him, and she felt a rush of concern. He had been nothing but kind and helpful, and now it seemed like he was being treated with suspicion simply because of the color of his skin. Feeling a mix of fear and determination, the woman decided she had to speak up. She took a deep breath and explained how the man had stopped to help her when she was in trouble. She wanted to make sure the officers understood that he had done nothing wrong. He was just a good person lending a hand. As she spoke, she could feel her heart pounding, hoping to change their minds. The tension hung in the air as the officers listened to her. The woman could see their expressions slowly shift as they processed what she was saying. The man stood calmly, waiting for the situation to unfold, while she tried to advocate for him. In that moment, she realized that sometimes speaking up was necessary to bridge gaps and foster understanding. As the woman spoke passionately about the man's kindness, she could see the police officers beginning to soften. They exchanged glances, and she sensed that her words were making an impact. The initial tension began to ease, and she hoped they would recognize that there was no threat here. Only a genuine act of kindness. "Look, he just helped me change my tire," she said, gesturing towards the man who had come to her rescue. "I was struggling, and he stopped without hesitation. There's nothing wrong here. He's just a good Samaritan." Her voice was steady, even as her heart raced. She wanted to ensure that the man who had helped her wouldn't be unfairly judged or treated. One of the officers took a step back, folding his arms as he considered her words. The other officer looked at the man, who remained calm and collected. He understood the situation and patiently waited for the police to process everything. The atmosphere was still tense, but the woman's insistence on the truth began to shift the conversation. "Ma'am, We just need to make sure everything is all right. One officer finally said, his tone a bit softer. We got a call about a suspicious situation, and we have to check it out. The woman nodded, understanding their duty to keep the community safe. I get that, but please, believe me when I say he was only helping me. I'm thankful for his assistance. She looked directly at the officer, hoping he could see the sincerity in her eyes. The man, still standing beside her, spoke up. I just wanted to help. I saw she was in trouble, and I couldn't just drive past. His voice was calm, and he smiled gently at the officers, trying to ease the tension further. Gradually, the officers began to see the situation from a different perspective. The initial assumptions they had made were starting to fade as they listened to the woman and the man. They could see the genuine concern and kindness in both of them. One officer pulled out a notepad, jotting down some notes while the other officer seemed to relax a bit more. I appreciate your cooperation, the first officer said, looking from the woman to the man. Sometimes, things aren't what they seem. We just have to be cautious. As they continued to talk, the woman felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had been worried that the situation would spiral out of control, but now she could see a path toward resolution. She hoped this experience would leave an impression on the officers, reminding them that not all situations could be judged at face value. Eventually, after some more discussion, the officers concluded that there was no cause for concern. They thanked both of them for their patience and understanding. The woman felt a sense of victory. Her advocacy for the man had worked. As the police returned to their car, the woman turned to the man beside her, who was still smiling. Thank you so much for helping me. I really appreciate it, she said earnestly. It's not just about changing the tire. You showed me that there are still good people out there. He nodded, a warmth in his expression. I'm glad I could help. We all need a little kindness sometimes. They shared a moment of connection, a feeling of camaraderie after navigating a challenging experience together. It was a reminder of how unexpected situations could bring people together and challenge perceptions. As they exchanged contact information, both felt grateful for this experience. They had turned a stressful moment into something meaningful. Each of them knew that this encounter would stay with them, shaping their views on community, support, and the importance of seeing beyond surface appearances. After the encounter with the police, the woman and the man stood beside her car, feeling a mix of relief and gratitude. They had navigated a tense moment together, and now the weight of the situation began to lift. As they finished exchanging contact information, the woman felt a sense of hope that had been absent just moments before. Let's make sure to stay in touch, she suggested with a smile. I'd love to hear more about your work and maybe even learn a thing or two about changing tires properly. She chuckled lightly, trying to ease any lingering tension. The man laughed, his warm demeanor brightening the atmosphere. Absolutely. I can show you some tips next time. You never know when you might need to change a tire again. His genuine laughter made her feel at ease, reinforcing the bond they had formed amidst the chaos of the day. As they chatted, the woman began to reflect on how this experience had changed her perspective. She realized that moments like these could challenge preconceived notions about people. Here was a man who had stopped to help a stranger without hesitation, and yet he had faced suspicion simply because of the color of his skin. It made her think about how easily misunderstandings could occur and how important it was to speak up against them. The man, too, shared his thoughts as they continued their conversation. You know, sometimes people are quick to judge without knowing the whole story. It's frustrating, but it's also a reminder of why kindness matters. He looked at her earnestly, as if emphasizing the significance of their encounter. Today could have gone very differently if you hadn't spoken up. She nodded in agreement. It's so true. I was scared at first, but I realized I had to advocate for you. We all need to stand up for each other. Their discussion flowed naturally, weaving in and out of topics about their lives and the communities they lived in. They talked about local events, shared their favorite spots in the area, and exchanged stories about friends and family. The initial stress of the day melted away as they connected on a deeper level. After some time, they decided to grab a quick bite at a nearby diner. The casual setting provided a comfortable atmosphere for them to continue their conversation. As they entered the diner, the smell of freshly cooked food filled the air, making their stomachs rumble. They chose a booth near the window where they could enjoy their meal and watch the world go by. Over burgers and fries, they talked about their dreams and aspirations. The woman shared her recent move to the area and how she hoped to make a difference in her new community. The man talked about his passion for mechanics and how he enjoyed helping others whenever he could. They realized that they both valued community and wanted to contribute positively, even in small ways. As they finished their meal, the woman felt a sense of fulfillment. This unexpected day had turned into a meaningful experience that she would carry with her. Not only had she gained a new friend, but she had also learned an important lesson about kindness and standing up for what is right. When they walked outside, the sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow over everything. They took a moment to soak it all in, feeling grateful for the connections they had made. As they parted ways, they promised to keep in touch and perhaps even collaborate on community projects in the future. In that moment, both knew that they had turned a simple act of assistance into a lasting friendship. They had created a bond built on mutual respect and understanding, showing how one good deed can ripple out and affect lives in ways they had never imagined. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, the woman felt a renewed sense of hope. She had turned a difficult day into a moment of connection, and it filled her with warmth. After saying goodbye to the man, she climbed into her car, still feeling the energy of their conversation. Driving home, she couldn't help but replay the day in her mind. The flat tire had been a frustrating setback, but it had led her to meet someone remarkable. She smiled as she thought about how they had supported each other during that unexpected encounter. It reminded her of the importance of community and how sometimes people could surprise you in the most wonderful ways. Once she arrived home, she settled into her cozy living room, still buzzing with excitement. She took a moment to reflect on everything she had experienced. The police misunderstanding, the man's kindness, and their shared laughter at the diner all stood out in her memory. Inspired by this, she felt a desire to share her story with others. The next day, she decided to write a post on her social media about her experience. She wanted to highlight the importance of kindness and understanding, especially in a world that could often feel divided. As she typed, she poured her heart into her words, explaining how a simple act of help had turned into a powerful reminder of humanity. "I learned that kindness knows no boundaries," she wrote. "In a world that sometimes jumps to conclusions, we must remember to take a step back and see the bigger picture. It only takes one person to make a difference, and today, that person was someone I didn't even know before." After posting, she felt a sense of relief wash over her. She hoped that her story would encourage others to be more compassionate and to speak up when they see someone in need. She knew the importance of standing together and supporting one another, especially in challenging times. In the following days, the woman and the man stayed in touch, exchanging messages and sharing their thoughts. They began to discuss ideas for community projects that could foster inclusivity and understanding. They brainstormed ways to organize events where people could come together, share their stories, and celebrate their differences. Their friendship blossomed as they met more frequently, working together to create a plan. They visited local community centers and talked to neighbors about what they could do to bring everyone together. They wanted to create a safe space where people felt welcome to share their experiences and learn from one another. As they planned, they also made sure to include fun activities that everyone could enjoy. They organized potluck dinners, where everyone could bring their favorite dishes, and set up game nights for families. They wanted to create an environment where laughter and friendship flourished. The response from the community was overwhelming. Many people were eager to participate and share their talents. The woman and the man were amazed by how many people came forward, excited to contribute to the cause. They realized that their initial meeting had sparked something much bigger than they had anticipated. On the day of their first community event, the sun shone brightly, and the atmosphere was filled with laughter and joy. People gathered in the local park, setting up tables laden with delicious food and decorations. The woman and the man looked around, feeling proud of what they had accomplished together. As the day unfolded, they watched families come together, children playing games, and neighbors mingling. It was a beautiful sight to see people from different backgrounds connecting, sharing stories, and enjoying each other's company. They had created a space where everyone felt included and valued. In that moment, the woman realized that sometimes a flat tire can lead to much more than just an inconvenience. It can be the beginning of a journey filled with friendship, understanding, and community spirit. They had turned a challenging situation into a powerful force for good, reminding everyone that kindness could indeed change lives. The day of the community event was a huge success. People from all walks of life came together, bringing with them a spirit of camaraderie and joy. As the woman and the man moved through the park, they could see the fruits of their hard work unfolding before their eyes. Children laughed as they played games, parents shared stories while enjoying the potluck dishes, and there was an overall atmosphere of happiness and acceptance. The woman felt a sense of pride swelling in her chest as she watched everyone mingling. This was what she had hoped for when she first met the man on the roadside. They had turned a moment of difficulty into a celebration of community and kindness. It was incredible to see how many people were willing to come together to build connections and support one another. As the afternoon wore on, the woman and the man decided to gather everyone for a group activity. They invited people to share their stories, whether it was about their heritage, their passions, or even their challenges. The idea was to create a space where everyone felt safe and valued. When it was time for the storytelling circle, they formed a large circle under a beautiful oak tree. The woman began by sharing her own experience, the flat tire, the man who had helped her, and how that encounter had inspired them to organize this event. She spoke from the heart, expressing her belief that everyone had a story worth sharing. As she spoke, she could see people nodding in agreement, and some were even smiling as they listened. It was clear that her story resonated with many in the group. When she finished, she encouraged others to share their experiences. One by one, people opened up. A man shared how he had moved to the area from a different country and had struggled to fit in at first. Another woman talked about the importance of family traditions and how she cherished the moments spent cooking with her grandparents. A young girl shyly described how she loved drawing and how it helped her express her feelings. Each story added to the warmth of the gathering, creating an unbreakable bond among the attendees. As more people shared, the atmosphere grew even more vibrant. Laughter erupted, and tears were shed as individuals spoke about their journeys. The woman and the man exchanged glances, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. They had created an environment where vulnerability was met with support and kindness. Towards the end of the storytelling circle, they invited everyone to join in a group photo. Everyone gathered together, arms around each other, smiles beaming brightly. The woman took a moment to capture the joy of the day, a memory that would remind them all of the power of community. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with deep shades of purple and gold, people started to gather the things to head home. The woman felt a bittersweet twinge in her heart. She had enjoyed every moment, and she knew this was just the beginning of something wonderful. The man walked up to her, a big smile on his face. "Can you believe how many people came? This was beyond what I expected." His eyes sparkled with excitement. "I know. It's amazing to see everyone come together like this," she replied, her voice full of enthusiasm. "I think we should do this more often. It's clear that our community craves connection." The man nodded eagerly, already brainstorming ideas for their next gathering. They both agreed that they wanted to keep the momentum going, perhaps organizing regular events that would continue to foster understanding and friendship among the neighbors. As the last rays of sunlight faded away, the woman and the man felt a sense of purpose. They knew they had started something meaningful, and it was only the beginning. They had transformed a chance meeting into a powerful movement of kindness and community spirit. The memory of that day would live on in everyone's hearts, reminding them that even in moments of difficulty, there is always an opportunity for connection, understanding, and change. In the weeks that followed their successful community event, the woman and the man continued to meet regularly. They would sit in coffee shops, brainstorm ideas, and plan their next steps. Their friendship grew stronger as they shared their hopes and dreams, realizing how much they complemented each other in their vision for the community. They decided to establish a monthly gathering, where people could come together not just to share food and stories, but also to participate in activities that promoted teamwork and understanding. They called it Unity in the Community. The name itself inspired them, reminding everyone of the strength that comes from coming together. The next gathering was planned for a local park, and they wanted to add some fun activities for families. They organized games like sack races, tug of war, and a small talent show where everyone could showcase their unique skills. The woman even suggested having a potluck-style meal again, encouraging everyone to bring a dish that represented their culture. This way, they could learn more about each other through food. As the date of the next event approached, excitement filled the air. People began to talk about it, spreading the word and encouraging their friends and families to come. The woman and the man printed flyers and posted them in local shops and community centers, ensuring that everyone in the neighborhood knew about the gathering. When the day of the event arrived, the park was buzzing with energy. Children ran around, their laughter echoing as they played. Families set up picnic blankets under the trees, and the smell of delicious food wafted through the air. The woman and the man arrived early, ready to set up the space. They felt a rush of joy as they looked around, seeing the community come together once again. As people started to gather, the atmosphere was filled with smiles and chatter. The woman took a moment to look around and soak in the scene. She saw familiar faces from the last event and new ones joining in, excited to be part of something special. It was heartwarming to witness people connecting, sharing stories, and laughing together. The event kicked off with a welcome speech from the woman. She expressed her gratitude for everyone's participation and emphasized the importance of building connections within the community. The man followed her lead, sharing a few words about the upcoming activities and encouraging everyone to join in the fun. Soon, the games began. Children formed teams for the sack races, while parents cheered them on from the sidelines. Laughter erupted as participants hopped down the field in their burlap sacks, some losing their balance and falling over, only to burst into fits of giggles. The tug of war brought everyone together, with teams formed across generations, all eager to pull each other to victory. The talent show was another highlight of the day. People showcased their skills, from singing and dancing to storytelling and magic tricks. The crowd applauded each performance, fostering a sense of encouragement and support. The young girl from the last event took the stage and shared her beautiful drawings with everyone, explaining what inspired each piece. Her confidence shone brightly, and the audience responded with warm applause. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, the woman and the man reflected on how far they had come since that day on the roadside. They had transformed a simple act of kindness into something much larger, impacting many lives in their community. After the final performance, they gathered everyone for a group photo again, wanting to capture the spirit of the day. As they posed together, arms around each other, they realized they had built a bridge of understanding and friendship among people who might have otherwise never connected. As the event came to a close, the woman and the man felt a deep sense of satisfaction. They had witnessed firsthand how bringing people together could create a ripple effect of positivity. They knew their journey was far from over. They were committed to continuing this mission of unity and kindness, one gathering at a time. The evening ended with a promise to meet again soon, and as everyone left with smiles on their faces, the woman and the man exchanged a look of excitement. Together, they had started a movement that was just beginning to grow, and they couldn't wait to see where it would lead them next. As the months passed, the community gatherings continued to flourish. The woman and the man had created a regular space where everyone felt welcome, and the spirit of togetherness only grew stronger. Each event was a bit different, with new activities and themes, but the essence of unity remained the same. They found that each gathering brought new faces, and it was heartwarming to see how many people wanted to be part of something positive. One day, as they were planning for the next event, the woman suggested a cultural exchange day. She envisioned a day dedicated to celebrating the rich diversity within their community. People could share their cultural traditions, food, music, and art. It was an exciting idea, and the man immediately agreed, thrilled at the thought of learning more about the different cultures represented in their neighborhood. They began to spread the word about the cultural exchange day. The woman created colorful flyers, and the man visited local businesses to share the news. They asked people to bring a dish that represented their culture, along with any music or dance they wanted to share. The excitement was palpable as more and more people signed up to participate. On the day of the event, the park was transformed into a vibrant celebration of cultures. Colorful flags and decorations adorned the area, and tables were filled with an incredible array of dishes from around the world. The aroma of spices filled the air, making everyone's mouths water in anticipation. Families arrived dressed in traditional clothing, showcasing their heritage with pride. There was a table set up for storytelling, where elders shared tales from their cultures, passing down wisdom and history to the younger generations. The woman felt a sense of joy as she watched families gathering, eager to learn and share. The festivities began with a welcome speech, where the woman expressed her excitement about the day. She emphasized how important it was to embrace diversity and learn from one another. The man followed up, inviting everyone to participate in the activities planned for the day. As the event kicked off, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. People formed groups to learn traditional dances, while others tried their hand at various crafts, such as painting and weaving. There was laughter and chatter as families shared stories and experiences, forging connections that might not have happened otherwise. The food tasting was a huge hit. Each table displayed dishes that reflected the unique flavors of different cultures. There were spicy curries, savory dumplings, sweet pastries, and colorful salads. The woman encouraged everyone to sample as much as possible, promoting an adventurous spirit. People moved from table to table, tasting new flavors and sharing recipes, creating an environment of appreciation and exploration. As the day continued, performances began. Musicians took the stage, playing traditional songs that resonated with their roots. The crowd clapped and danced along, creating a lively atmosphere. Some attendees even shared stories of their family's migration journeys, revealing the hardships and triumphs that had shaped their lives. The storytelling fostered a deeper understanding among everyone present. Towards the end of the day, they gathered for a group discussion, inviting everyone to share their thoughts about what they had learned. One woman spoke about the importance of honoring each other's traditions and how the event had made her feel connected to her neighbors in a new way. A young boy chimed in, saying he loved learning about the different dances and wanted to try them all. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park, the woman and the man took a moment to reflect on how much had been accomplished. They had not only celebrated their differences, but had also created a stronger sense of community. People were leaving with smiles on their faces, new friendships formed, and a deeper appreciation for one another. As they began to clean up, the woman turned to the man and said, "I never imagined we could create something like this. It feels like we're truly making a difference." The man nodded, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "This is just the beginning. We've opened a door for so many people, and I can't wait to see where it leads us next." With renewed determination, they started to plan their next gathering, eager to continue fostering unity and connection in their community. Together, they knew they could build a future where everyone felt valued and included. The journey had just begun, and they were excited to see what was in store for them and their neighbors. As the season changed and the leaves began to turn vibrant shades of red and gold, the woman and the man were excited about their next community gathering. They decided to organize an autumn festival, a celebration of the season, and a chance for everyone to come together one last time before winter set in. Their plan was to incorporate fun activities, delicious food, and a chance to reflect on what they had accomplished throughout the year. They started by brainstorming ideas for the festival. The woman suggested a pumpkin carving contest, while the man thought a hayride would be a perfect addition to the festivities. They envisioned families coming together, laughing, and creating memories. They also decided to set up a booth for people to share what they were thankful for, encouraging everyone to reflect on the positive moments from the past year. As the day of the autumn festival approached, the excitement in the community grew. Flyers were posted everywhere, and people talked about it in their homes and workplaces. Everyone wanted to be part of this celebration, and many families signed up to contribute food and decorations. It was heartwarming to see how far their efforts had brought the community together. On the day of the festival, the park was transformed into a beautiful autumn wonderland. Colorful leaves crunched underfoot, and the air was filled with the sweet smell of baked goods and roasted marshmallows. The woman and the man arrived early to set up, hanging string lights and arranging hay bales for seating. As people began to arrive, there was an electric atmosphere of joy. Children rushed to the pumpkin carving station, armed with tiny knives and brushes, ready to unleash their creativity. The laughter of families filled the air as they worked together to create silly faces and intricate designs on their pumpkins. The woman wandered around, admiring the creativity on display and chatting with families about their designs. Meanwhile, the man was busy organizing the hayride. He had managed to borrow a wagon and a tractor from a local farmer, which added a rustic touch to the festival. As families hopped onto the wagon, excitement bubbled over. The ride took them through the scenic park, where they enjoyed the beauty of the changing leaves and the crisp autumn air. The food booths were another highlight of the festival. There were homemade pies, warm cider, and delicious snacks like caramel apples. People brought dishes that represented their traditions, showcasing the diversity of the community. The woman loved walking around, tasting everything, and talking to those who prepared the dishes. It felt like a celebration of flavors, with everyone eager to share their recipes and cooking stories. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, the woman and the man gathered everyone for a moment of gratitude. They had set up a large board where people could write what they were thankful for, and they encouraged everyone to share their thoughts. The board quickly filled up with messages of appreciation, thankfulness for family, friends, community, and the connections they had built over the past year. When it was time for the group sharing, people stood up to express their gratitude. One person shared how the gatherings had helped her feel less lonely after moving to the area. Another spoke about the friendships he had made and how the community felt like home now. The stories were heartfelt and sincere, creating a warm and uplifting atmosphere. After the sharing, they transitioned into a fun storytelling session. The woman invited everyone to sit in a circle and share their favorite fall memories. Children eagerly recounted their Halloween adventures, while adults shared stories from their childhood, reminiscing about family gatherings and festive traditions. Laughter echoed as people connected through shared experiences, creating a tapestry of memories that bonded them even closer. As night fell, the festival culminated in a beautiful lantern release. Each person was given a small paper lantern to decorate. They wrote their hopes for the coming year on the lanterns and gathered together to release them into the night sky. Watching the lanterns float away, illuminating the dark with their soft glow, created a magical moment for everyone. The woman and the man stood side by side, watching the glowing lights ascend. They felt a deep sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. They had not only created a community, but had also fostered connections and friendships that would last a lifetime. As the last lantern disappeared into the night, they both knew that their journey was far from over. They were eager to continue bringing people together, creating a space where everyone could feel valued and included. The Autumn Festival was a perfect ending to a year filled with growth, friendship, and unity, and they were excited to see what the future would hold. As winter settled in, the community felt the change in the air. The days grew shorter, and the chilly breeze hinted at the holidays ahead. The woman and the man discussed how they could keep the spirit of unity alive during the colder months. They knew that many people often felt isolated in winter, so they wanted to create something special to bring everyone together. After brainstorming, they decided to organize a winter warm-up festival. The idea was to create a cozy environment where families could gather, enjoy warm food, and share holiday traditions. They envisioned hot cocoa stations, cookie decorating, and even a small gift exchange to spread joy and kindness. Excitement buzzed through the community as word spread about the winter warm-up festival. People began to sign up to help with preparations. The woman and the man reached out to local businesses to donate supplies, and many were eager to contribute. The community's enthusiasm made it clear that everyone wanted to be involved. On the day of the festival, the park was transformed into a winter wonderland. Lights twinkled in the trees, and colorful decorations adorned every corner. The warmth of the decorations contrasted beautifully with the crisp, cold air. Families arrived bundled up in scarves and hats, smiles on their faces as they made their way to the festivities. The first station the woman and the man set up was the hot cocoa bar. There were various toppings, marshmallows, whipped cream, and candy canes. Children squealed with delight as they personalized their drinks. The woman poured cups of cocoa, encouraging everyone to add as many toppings as they wanted. Laughter filled the air as families shared their creations. Next was the cookie decorating station. Tables were lined with freshly baked cookies, frosting, and sprinkles of every color. Children focused intently, icing their cookies with bright designs. Parents joined in, making the activity a family affair. The atmosphere was filled with joy as people shared tips and admired each other's cookie art. As the day went on, they set up a cozy area with blankets and pillows, creating a space for storytelling. The woman invited families to gather around and share their favorite holiday stories. People shared tales of family traditions, cherished memories, and funny moments from past holidays. Each story brought laughter and warmth, knitting the community closer together. One of the highlights of the festival was the gift exchange. The man organized it as a secret holiday kindness exchange. Everyone brought a small wrapped gift and placed it under the tree. Then, as the evening progressed, they took turns selecting gifts, encouraging everyone to think of kindness and generosity. It was a heartwarming sight to see smiles as people opened their gifts, appreciating the thought behind each one. As the sun set, the park glowed under the string lights, creating a magical ambience. They gathered everyone for a group photo, capturing the warmth of the day. The woman felt grateful as she looked around, seeing so many happy faces. It was moments like this that reminded her of why they had started these gatherings in the first place. As the festival drew to a close, the woman and the man stood together, reflecting on how far they had come since that first encounter on the roadside. They had built a community filled with love, support, and friendship. The Winter Warm-Up Festival had been a beautiful reminder of the connections they had fostered over the past year. Feeling inspired, they began discussing ideas for future gatherings, eager to keep the momentum going. They wanted to create events that continued to unite people, even during the coldest months. They knew that the bonds formed through these experiences would help everyone feel connected and cared for. As families began to leave, many expressed their gratitude for the day. People hugged, exchanged contact information, and made plans to meet again soon. The woman and the man smiled, knowing that they had accomplished their goal of building a strong community. With hearts full of joy, they watched as the last of the guests departed, leaving behind a sense of warmth and togetherness. They were excited about what was to come, looking forward to another year of bringing people together and celebrating the beautiful diversity of their community. The journey they had embarked on was just beginning, and they were eager to see where it would lead them next.